Hey, bourbon brothers and sisters, Angry Mac here. Before we get into today's episode of Angry Mac Whiskey Rants, can you please subscribe? Get me close to 300. I know I've been begging for like 2 weeks now, and I'm getting closer. I'm inching. Press that subscribe button, share, help me out, man. Today, we are going to talk about the whiskey marketing open, dirty secret. And this is Legacy's open market dirty secret. This is the dirty secret, the open that everybody seems to know about, but nobody in power wants to change. It is broken, and it sucks for almost everyone. I think you know where I'm going right now. It's the three-tier system. The three-tier system is broken, and it's like extortion now. It's no longer there to protect. It is legal extortion where the people in power are getting money. Is there any reason why it's cheaper to ship overseas than it is from Kentucky to New York? Is there any reason that these distributors can't sell, these producers, these distillers can't sell their own product at a premium price? You know, this is something we need to talk about. This is an industry where everybody talks about the secondary, and I hate to tell you this, the secondary is the retailers. People confuse the secondary with the secondhand sales. It is not. I can go to my local farm. I can go to a farmer's market and buy it right from the farmer at cost. I can go and get 20 cucumbers for $5. If I go to this grocery store, it's 4 cucumbers for $5. I don't have access just to go into a distiller and buy it at their price where they can make a healthier margin and we can get it for a cheaper price. Not like that. It's not like that. And getting that bottle across state lines is really prohibitive to so many different distilleries in the industry. Now, is it hurting your Buffalo Trace? No. Is it hurting your Four Roses? No. Is it hurting your Wild Turkey? No, because they're selling in volume, mass volume, big money, big space. It's hurting the craft. We're just fighting for space, and the margins are much smaller. Now, Prohibition ended in 1933, and the government panicked. They did not want chaos. So they really felt like doing the right thing. They want to prevent monopolies where one company didn't just take over everything. They wanted to stop bribery. They wanted to stop under-the-table deals. They wanted to stop shops from just selling one brand because they were paying them the most. They were really out there looking for the customer. And let's face it, they wanted to collect some taxes. The taxes on spirits, on alcohol is insane. We all know this. But what happened, this started as a guardrail and protection, but that guardrail turned into handcuffs. And it's not handcuffing your legacy, it's handcuffing your craft. And that's why it's so hard to get craft, and that's why the craft isn't distributed more widely. Because they're competing, the margins are smaller, and the government just makes it difficult. In a three-tier system, there are 3 tiers. You have the producers, which are the distillers. You have the distributors, which are the middlemen, and you have the retailers, which are the salespeople. They are the market that you're buying it from. So, well, that's it. But not always the market you're buying from, because that crazy secondary with all these online things. But that's a whole nother episode. There's one basic premise to this whole thing. Is that you cannot have one tier own another tier. That is why if you are a distiller, you can't be a retailer. They want to stop the monopoly. Personally, there should be exceptions. People in the government and places of power should have been looking at this to keep the craft alive, because it would do everyone much better if they were allowed to make a little bit more margin on site, selling at, I don't know, not their cost, because they have to make money, but slightly above, where if you go to the distillery, you're getting a chance to get not only special distillery-only bottles, but you're getting a chance to get good prices. That doesn't happen. And again, at the time, it was a good idea. It really was to reduce corruption and have the taxes paid on a more timely basis, on a regular basis, state to state. But instead of consumer protection, as I said, it turned into something that is not good for the consumer. And I think we're seeing that a lot in the retail, because if you're not an ABC state and you're not MSRP, you can bump it up to whatever you want. I have a local store here has 6 bottles of Stag, and I don't even remember the number, but it's an old one. 6 bottles. They are literally Dusty's because they've been there for years. He's got them at $300. They're collector's items. They're not there to sell, and he buys them there because every once in a while somebody will buy one, he'll just replace it with another one. 3 bills. Why? Because he can. Because he can buy, because they're preying on the consumer and they're preying on the limited distribution. Now, this whole process breaks right at the beginning. Right at the beginning. As soon as it leaves the distillery and the distributor gets it, the distiller, first of all, not only needs to create a great product. So the distiller is looking for a great product that sells and gives it to a distributor. So first of all, they have to haggle and find a distributor who's willing to take it, which is a problem in its own because they're looking out for their margins. Then it has to be picked up. Then it has to be prioritized. And then you have to hope that that person distributing your product gets to a retailer who's going to put it somewhere where people can see it. You're going to get a little priority. So the distributors don't really care about quality. They don't really care about your margin. They don't really care about the relationships you're building with people. All they care about is profit. So then you get it to the retailer. The retailer's caring about profit also. Yeah, they like to sell some good things because the better things they sell, the more they're going to sell. But that's not their bottom line. Let's face it. Let's be real. They're there trying to make money. Capitalism. Can't really blame them. I had a story by a distiller. Somebody everybody knows, I'm not going to name names, but he was telling me that he went out on a ride with his distributor. He was curious to see why his stuff was the fluctuation and why it wasn't sold in certain areas. So he got into the car with his local distributor. The agent that represented him got in the car, went to a retailer. He's talking to him in the car. Oh, this is my good buddy. We have such a great relationship. He walks in and he never heard of the product being sold. So this distributor, this agent, this sales rep, never even brought it up to a person he has a great relationship who he's getting paid to distribute this man's product. It doesn't make sense unless it does. So what happened is that you got to maybe give a little gift here, buy something different to get this one on. So the distributor agent, nobody's going to talk about it, but the truth is you got to throw a little. You got to buy those bottles that nobody wants to get rid of them to get the other things out. So when that craft, when that smaller brand gets that shelf space, they're not looking for a whole bunch of shelves. They're looking for one row. Instead of Heaven Hill or Buffalo or Four Roses to have 100 rows, they're looking for 1 or 2 rows. So he goes in there, gives them the gift, he works everything out. Next time, the next big brand, they come in there, they give them the gift, they work it out, and that suddenly disappears. Suddenly they don't have the shelf space anymore. Suddenly in there, that bottom right or bottom left corner, nobody's looking. Let's figure it, nobody's looking down. So that is also detrimental to the craft industry. And the 3-tier system hurts the craft industry more than any other section. It doesn't hurt the legacy and heritage as much, especially the legacy, because they're shipping and selling in volume. So they're willing to take less to sell more to make more. That's just the way it is. Well, the craft can't do that. You have to pay a little bit more, and you have to figure out who is going to distribute this. Like, why is it here in New York, a company like New Riff, I can go into my local stores and I can get like 1 offering. New Riff's got so many different offerings. I can get like 1, maybe 2 New Riff offerings. Doesn't make any sense. They're big enough that they should be on the shelf here. New Riff, Hard Truth. And these are the mid-level ones. These aren't even the real craft. Yes, they are considered craft, but everybody knows what I'm talking right now. I'm talking the Neely family. I can't get it here in New York. You know why? Because they can't get the distribution up here because it costs too much money. Because the distributor up here kills you on distribution, then the retailer wants to bump it up even more because they can't get it. It's a disaster. So not only when they get up here, they're buried behind the big brands. They can't sell directly. They can't scale nationally. I talked to another brand. You know what they said? Hey, Mac, we are whiskey rich, cash poor because the distribution is strangling us. I don't know about you, but unless you're into that, I don't like to be strangled, and neither should you. And I certainly don't want my choices in life to be strangled because somebody's greasing the wheel or somebody else, the lobbyists and the political parties. This is not a game based on flavors. You could have the greatest flavor out there, the greatest whiskey, rye, single malt, bourbon, whatever it is, if you don't have the distribution and you're not paying the right person. And it's illegal, we all know it, but let's face it, it happens. They disguise it in other things, and this is a verifiable fact that nobody's going to put on record, but if you talk to people, they will tell you off the record, I don't want to say it, you know how it goes. Yeah, we all know how it goes. We all know how it goes. It's crazy. I'm in New York, believe me, I know how it goes. So these craft, they're playing politics, not flavor. It's politics over quality, politics and quantity. Whoever has the most money wins. That's it. It's whoever has the most money. Why is it still here? Because the people in power want it here. Because the lobbyists are making money, the states are making money, politicians are making money, and the people with power don't change. If they're making money, why would they change? Why would they change? It's about time that us, the people, consumers, buying the product, open our mouths, get on the phone with your local politician, write a letter. The three-tier system has to change. Back then, there was one lane going one way, one lane going the other way, had to protect it. Now it's a multi-lane, international, overstate, interstate highway where the guardrails are no longer working. Actually, the rails are actually off. There are no rails anymore, and we all know this. Times change. Times change. You can buy anything you want online. Why is it this business is the only one that's constrained? Why is it? Why is it they all can't go direct to customer right from the place, that it has to go through a distributor and out? I can't ship it from my warehouse to you. My warehouse has to ship it to a different warehouse, has to ship it out. Direct consumer. How many other industries in the United States you cannot ship direct to consumer? It's insane. Craft distilling has evolved into great quality and is being held back by a great deal. The three-tier system. This is a system that has been close to 100 years. Almost 100 years. In what, 7 years? It'll be 2033 and it'll be 100 years. You mean we've made no progress in 100 years? None. The three-tier system is detrimental. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real for a minute before I get this. Now, I go down and I get my bottles. I procure my bottles by friends, on groups. I do pay the shipping because I feel that it's worth it. These two bottles I got at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. So I had to go to the festival to buy these because I can't find either one of these here. This, I can get at a store by me. They're harder to find, and you're paying an arm and a leg for it because of the three-tier system, because of the limited allocation, because somebody's palm is not getting greased the right way. So I have to pay $200 for this bottle as opposed to $79 or $59 or whatever the MSRP is, because the MSRP in New York, in some states where the allocation is small, is a fantasy. Let's just face it. Let's call it what it is. But the problem started off years ago, and it was never corrected. So as time evolved, the system didn't change. What system in place 100 years ago is still working, running today? I can't really think of any. I'm sure there's one or two here. The road changed, the business did not. And I often ask why there isn't more craft in stores. And I'll tell you why. Because if you're buying a $50 bottle, I have to write this down. If you're buying a $50 bottle, the retailer's making $12 to $15 before their costs. There's distributors making 15 to 20, taxes, and then the retailer's making 10 to 18 depending upon the bottle and depending upon the location. So the person making the less is the person putting in the most work. That doesn't sound strange to you? Because it sounds damn strange to me. It actually sounds completely different than the way our country business model and capitalism is worked out to be. So I am a little worked up today. System designed when FDR was president is still in place today, handcuffing us, keeping the craft down. I am going to support the craft. You support the craft. Leave me a comment. What is your favorite craft right now? Right now, I'm going to go with the Little Neely's. I'm going to go with the Neely. I'm a big fan. Got to get another bottle. I actually have one coming up to me. My friend Andy got me one. Hopefully I have it shortly. When he gets here, I'll be very, very happy. But if you know the Neelys, they're great people. It's a craft distiller that needs to be supported, as is Whiskey Thief, as is everyone I talk about, and the ones I don't know about should be supported. Supported. I can't even speak. I'm so angry. Go in, ask some questions, see what it's like. This is just phenomenal. And nobody's going to review this. I'll review this when I do the Neely family on my craft journey. Craft is absolutely amazing, and the three-tier system is holding it back. The three-tier system is causing you not to be able to find these bottles. The three-tier system is causing you to pay more for bottles that should be easily attainable. The three-tier system is not your friend. But you know what? Find your friends, find the people you love, give them a hug, because tomorrow's no guarantee. It's never what's in the glass. However, what am I drinking? The Old Jet Neely Family Distillers, the Old Jet Brothers. This is damn good. I'd be happy to share this with anybody. But it's not what's in the glass reality. It's who you're sharing it with. And right now, I'm sharing it with you. And can you please subscribe and help an angry Irishman out? Nobody likes me yelling and screaming. You can ask my wife and kids. Cheers, everybody.